This is kind of the dream job for me because my two big passions, I suppose, are food and eating. I love to eat, I love to cook. That's kind of one side of my world, and then the other side is social justice, just I have a strong sense of fairness, and I don't want to eat something that was produced by somebody who's enduring, slave-like conditions or really, really unfair working conditions. I don't want to eat something or cook with something that's caused terrible harm to the environment, and I don't want to eat meat or touch meat or see meat that has been reared in horrific, cruel conditions and then slaughtered in a really inhumane way by people who are also treated inhumanely. That's just not what I'm about. So coming to work at the Fumbally was it's almost exactly where I should be, My name is Aoife Allen and I'm one of 5 chefs here at the Fumbally Cafe in Dublin 8. I've been a chef here for 2 years. And before that, I was in a totally different world. I used to work for NGOs. My background is, I suppose, kind of a charity worker, and I have a Master's in International Development. That background kind of informed the way I think about food. I have studied over the years global justice, international supply chains, exploitation of workers overseas. So I suppose I bring a lot of that knowledge and attitude to my work here at the Fumbally. We have a monthly planning meeting where we'll discuss what's in season in the following months, or generally what's in season the following month, and then try to draw on that in the planning of our menu. One of the owners here, Aisling in particular, is very strong on the season. She has a really, really good knowledge, and she'll generally encourage us to almost work with gluts of what's in season in a given moment, and try to do as many different things with it as possible. So we're always trying to build up a larder of, say, preserved Bergamo lemons, because they're in season in Italy for a short period. We do loads with cabbages and kale and so on through the winter months. We make a lot of krauts and pickles. We grow as much stuff here as we can. We have some tomato plants in the window at the moment. At one point I was growing mushrooms, oyster mushrooms from the leftover coffee grounds from the coffee machine there. Any waste milk that comes out of the coffees, there's always a trickle left over, at the end of a cappuccino. That goes into a pot a couple of times a week, and we make ricotta cheese, and that goes back into our sandwiches. So yeah, there's kind of a constant effort to be as sustainable as possible. We try to do, sort of Irish takes on international dishes. So I have a special on at the moment that it's a samosa chat, like a samosa street food snack kind of thing, but using Queen's potatoes and Irish onions and Irish carrots and Irish yogurt, Irish mint, we're kind of sourcing everything as locally as possible. We love using European produce and we love using produce from different parts of the world, but we just don't want to do it in a mindless kind of way. We're really interested in what's available all around the world, interesting new ingredients, but our focus is generally to try and use as much Irish as possible rather than absolutely exclusively Irish, because there are other interesting things out there in the world, The big challenge is there's always a tension between, wanting to cook something that you've come across that sounds delicious and then, sourcing it as sustainably as possible, especially in the winter months. The produce that's available to us locally is reduced. We're all pretty handy at doing really nice kind of hearty Irish dishes in winter, but there are times when you'd really like to just cook what you want to cook and order whatever you want to order to make that happen. We're always on the lookout for new small suppliers who can bring new interesting produce to us. We have 2 that we work with at the moment, McNally's in North County Dublin and Elmhurst Farm in Glasnevin. It's a nice city farm. It makes total common sense. You're supporting small local businesses, you're putting money back into the Irish economy. You know your supplier for the most part, or your producer, so you know that their work practices are probably quite ethical, you know that you can trust them, and the really huge benefit is that things will generally taste better if you're eating them in season, and they'll be better for you. Quite possibly a lot cheaper as well, in some cases, and it's just it's a win-win. You become more in tune with the seasons in the country where you live, and you have a better understanding of the environment that you live in as well, and there's no real downside to that at all. So I think a lot of the customers who come here to the Fumbally, the first reason they come is for really nice food and really interesting food. our specials change every 2 days, and there's two, so there are 5 specials a week, and they're always interesting. You know, sometimes they're a bit wacky, and sometimes it's just a nice Irish take on some international dish. But the food's always going to be delicious. It's always going to be interesting. It's a little bit different to most other places around Dublin, you know. So I think most of the people who come here are, I would say, have that in the back of their mind anyway. They're very interested in local produce. They're interested in really good food. And really good food is locally produced food, because a lot of flavour and a lot of texture and a lot of quality is lost in long distance kind of transportation of food. If you come quite regularly to a place where a big part of the narrative or a big part of their ethos is sustainability and celebrating local produce, that's going to seep into your consciousness. It's going to become part of your attitude to food.